Crafty Sue with No Rules Art, and today is part 2 of perspective and how you use your disappearing horizon to get your perspective. Also help with some textures. So I have a blank piece of paper, and I'm using the covered bridge for perspective because it's very easy, straight lines, but you can still play with it and get the textures that you need. You can use it for any kind of building or actually anything that requires that distance that you need. The way you practice perspective is finding the 3 planes for your picture. There's 3 planes. There's your horizon plane, there's your middle ground, that's what I call it anyway, and then your foreground plane. So you take your piece of paper, you divide that into the 3 planes. So 1/3 from the top, that's going to be your horizon plane. You gotta kind of mark it, and then just draw a line across. This helps with you determining your depth. Then you go down another third, and you draw a line like that. Now you have your 3 planes. So I'm going to angle this so you can see a little better, hopefully, where those 3 planes are. I have my 3 planes. I have my horizon plane, my main visual plane, I call it the middle, and then the foreground plane. The horizon plane is where your disappearing horizon is, and that is how you determine your perspective. So you figure out if you want whatever your main subject is, if you want it to be in this section of your foreground plane, or if you want it over here, or if you want it in the center. If you have it in the center, you don't have as much as a disappearing horizon as you would if you placed it over in the left of your foreground plane. When you put it over here, you can show a longer distance, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. And how to make it where your disappearing horizon gives you the longest covered bridge you could want. You can make them shorter, but this gives you that feeling of that's a long bridge. That's going to take a while to go across it. So in order to do that, let's see if I can get this done a little bit better. Oops. Let's try. The lighting in here is not all that great. So let me see if I can darken this up just a little bit so you can kind of see the lines. Okay. Hopefully that's better. So I have my horizon plane here, and I'm going to determine that the road to go to the bridge is here. This is where my road's going to be. And as things come closer, they get larger. So when you draw that line, it gets wider the closer it is to you. And you want typically your disappearing plane to be in the center of your horizon plane, which is here's the center. And that is the point that you're going to measure all your angles from. The opening of the covered bridge is at the end of the road, obviously. It's not going to be as wide. It's going to be a little bit in because you have, in that construction, you actually have panels in the front that cause the opening. So the meeting of the front of the bridge with the roof is halfway. So in your center plane, you're going to go up. You can even put a line there if it helps. Halfway. And so you draw a line up to that halfway point on both sides. Then you take for your opening, however wide you want your sides to be, and you draw that up to your roof line. Now you have the doorway. But where's the roof? Your disappearing horizon point here is connected to the roof line. So you draw from that corner back. And then you also do from the front corner back to that point. It doesn't look like much of a roof yet. But now you need to make your roof line. So in the center of that doorway is the center of your roof. And you're going to go up to the middle of the halfway point of the middle plane. You take that top of that roof, and where does it connect? It connects to the front corner. So you connect that corner. Now you can see the front of the bridge. You can also see the perspective of the roof line. It goes all the way back, doesn't it? But you don't see the side of the building. So in order to do the side of the building, you take this corner in the front, and it has to meet the horizon line, or the disappearing horizon line. And so you just draw a line to that. Now you can see the side of the building. So if you look, as you can see, connecting those lines, the top of the roof line back to the horizon line back here, and the horizon line back to this side and down, and where is it? Okay, back to the horizon line from here down to the front corner. So now you can actually see the depth of this building. It goes back a ways. And in order for you to kind of get a real look, this is how it looks. Once it's colored in, then you can see there's that side, there's that outside wall. And then all you do is you add the texture for it. In the front here, most covered bridges don't have a square opening. Most of them will go from about a third up to that center, and then the same way here. So that's what typically the opening of a covered bridge would look like. Now these lines can all stay. Those are going to be boards. Now if you notice in here, this triangle piece right here, that's an inside wall, and this is where you're going to get some more perspective added. But we've already colored in the side. We've got the roof in there, and then we have the front. The way you get depth to make it have the illusion that that bridge goes way back is by drawing the boards that are the base. Let's see if I can do this way. So in order to do that, this being the inside wall, you make vertical lines up to represent those boards that they used to build it with. Okay, now you can kind of see, oh, okay, because it goes from a wide opening to a narrow opening, that's your perspective to go back. Now as far as the boards that go into it to lead back, you want to make them just at a slight angle. Let's start do it this way. Let me do it flat on the table. So you want to follow the lines of that side wall. Let me get this one here right. Hard to do it from upside down, so we're going to do it this way. And we're going to go like this, and like this, and like that. So I'm going to darken in the doorway lines, just so you can get a better idea. And I'm going to put in the way the boards go on these. It's all vertical. When they build these things, they make them all vertical, except for the one crossbar goes across the top. And above it, the boards are vertical. I mean, you can make them horizontal if you want, but I just know the construction of these because I grew up around these things. I'm going to darken in that cross board just to give it that separation. And do that for the sides. This is not perfect, but it's just to show you how they're done. And this is where you need to remember your directional light, which direction the light's coming from. And we're going to have the light coming from the left to the right. This one. So the light is coming from here. So it's hitting this side of the building. So this side is going to be lit up. This side is going to be a little bit darker for shading. And it's not going to be hitting inside the building, but it's going to light up this half of the flooring. So you're going to have this shadow from this wall landing inside. So now, as you can see, coming in, you know the sun's coming, or the light, directional light comes from here. This is lighter. You can shade that in a little bit. It's not going to be stark white, obviously. And then your roof line is going to have either all be sunlit, or if there happens to be a tree here that hangs over it, part of it will be a shadow or shaded, and that shows that there is sunlight from that particular direction over in here. And then you'll see the shadow of the tree actually on the roof. Now, in order to do that, you can just, I'm going to make a branch, you know, kind of a makeshift kind of branch that comes across. It's a big old tree, right? And it's in the foreground though, but it's still going to cast a shadow because of where the sun comes. And on your roof line, you would have it a little darker. It's just in spots to signify the branches and the leaves, but you also want to have, let me make sure I do this right. It goes, the shingles or planks or whatever are going to go along with the roof line. So you're going to have this shadow on here from a branch above. The rest of it's going to be, you know, sunlit. That also gives you perspective. When you can reflect a shadow onto something, that shows another type of perspective. Now you notice this is sitting, most covered bridge, why do you have a covered bridge? It's over the water. So we need to show the uprights that are holding the bridge up, which are typically big chunks of concrete and stone mixed together. And the way you do that is you pick a point. For the first one, it's going to end up at the beginning of the bridge. And you're just going to make a straight line up to that point. That's a support. You can darken that in. I make mine look like they're stones. I put stones in them. Then the next one, same thing. You're going to come out just a little bit and come up and meet the base of the bridge. So now you can see how it's showing more perspective, more depth. And they get smaller as they go by and thinner. So the last one is going to be this long, thin one. Just like that. That's a basic covered bridge. It's not difficult. It's just a matter of picking your disappearing horizon line, drawing that in. When you separate this into thirds like this, then that lets you do a layout of what else you want to put in your picture. Whether it be more trees in the foreground, a stone wall like I've done in the painting that I did back in high school and then just recently redid. And when you do a stone wall, you have to look at it from this angle. It starts kind of like that. And it stone, since the road is curving this way, you're going to curve it right with it. Now, don't forget that at some point, it's hard to do it this way. It's going to come down and show you that that's a wall. This kind of perspective shows the shape of it. It shows that that wall is curved. That's the curve right there, where it curves around and then straightens out. And you can make the stones, you can draw stones in it, make it a stone wall. You can make a solid concrete and not do the stones. But remember that whatever is here on this side, where your light is going to make a shadow onto there, or at least to the middle of the road. This big tree over here is going to cause a big shadow because I've made this in the foreground. Now, items in the background, in your latter half of your horizon in this section are going to be not as pronounced, and they're going to be lighter because of distance. Remember, any item in your drawing that's closest to you, anything in this first plane is going to be larger because it's right close to you. Anything further away is smaller, just like with the bridge. It's larger in the front, and as it gets further away, it gets smaller. That's what shows your depth, your perception or perspective of depth. I hope this has helped with getting more, comfortable with perspective. You can do this with any object. I've even used a corn silo. Us country people, we know what those are. If you don't know what that is, it's that great big tall structure that, like, I could have one in this background. Like, there's a farm back here. Well, they're going to put it over here. And that farmhouse or barn next to the silo can be on that last plane in this respect. Just kind of put it in there. And in the silo behind it, this is how they are a lot of times, they're behind it, and it's just in the distance, and they usually have a dome top. Some of them have a weather vane on top, not all of them, but they're typically metal, so they're not going to have the wood look on them. But because of the direction of the light, this side is going to be light. This side, I think they even have a little, I forget what those things are on the top. They have one of these little round things. Anyway, they're going to have the shadow part's going to be on the back side. Same way with this building, whatever I choose for it. It's going to have the shadow of this on the roof. So it doesn't have to be, it has to resemble the same type of shape. So if I were to continue on the other end of it, it would have a domed kind of shape shadow. But since it's not, I mean, we're just going to put this just like it's the back side of a building. And it can have the planks, could be a barn, whatever you want in front of the silo here. And most of the times they're going to come out a little bit past it. So we'll make sure that goes in that way. And the sun's shining here, but there's nothing in front of it. Now if I put a tree here, just kind of give the indication of a tree in front of this building, well, then this is going to have a shadow of a tree on it. So just remember the direction of your light, and that on the back side of whatever is there is going to be a little darker. It's also going to cause a shadow on the next thing behind it. So play around with perspective. Create your own little buildings, your own little farm scenes, or whatever you want to do. And watch how easy it is when you determine your planes, your horizon plane, your center ground plane, and your foreground plane. And that's how it assists with making sure your perspective is right on the money. Not a difficult thing to do. But I think that you all will, I can't see this. Yeah, I can't see. There we go. So I hope that that's helped you a lot as far as perspective goes. I mean, it's just a simple covered bridge. But you can do so many things if you know where you can mark your horizon line and your I call it the middle ground plane, and then the foreground plane. I don't remember the technical terms for them. I just know it's 3 sections. And in the foreground, it's always larger. and typically darker, especially if you're using color, because that's where your shadows are going to be. And unless you're going to have the light coming from the front, and that's a whole different look. We'll cover that one day. But this is perspective using the planes. I hope it does help you understand more about perspective, how important it is. It does let you feel like you're drawn in, like you're going that distance. You're actually going into this covered bridge, and that's a long bridge from the looks of it, right? Now, I could have made it a shorter bridge by adjusting my horizon line. If I wanted to do more about a sky and not so much about the bridge, I could make it a short bridge. The way you do that, you adjust your horizon line. Didn't tell you could do that, did I? But you can adjust the horizon line, because some people love to do clouds and sky and they want the whole picture to be about that. Go for it. Just adjust your horizon line. Your horizon line typically is a third, but you can adjust it. You can make it shorter. Yeah, I mean, actually make it deeper. Now, when it comes to sunsets, you don't need 3 planes. You can use 2. And we'll cover that when we're using 2 planes. This is 3-plane perspective. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And please share the video. And let me know if it's been beneficial to you to learn about the 3 planes. We'll do 2 planes next. You come back and visit with Crafty Sue, and we'll do some more sketch techniques.